What's going on? Let me see some of your faces here. Who we got here? We got Jim. I see you. Everett, welcome, sir. Oh, come on. Where's Kathy? You gotta be getting your chair's empty, Kathy. Where you at? There she is. She's probably out there printing right now. Love that. What's up, Josh? Welcome, everybody. Today's Wednesday. So happy to have all of you here. We got a cool new session, and I'm going to introduce you to somebody new, whom some of you actually may know, I guess, perhaps, or maybe not. But today's session, we're going to be covering a lot of really cool stuff. This is a topic we haven't talked about before. Like, how many of you ever thought, like, you know what? What's the most efficient way to set up physically my print shop? Like, have any of you considered that? Have any of you considered where your machines are in your room and how that can impact? Yeah, I see you, Josh. How that can impact your efficiency as a business and your print operation? It's important, guys, especially if you get to the point where you're operating, one obviously at a minimum, but 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units and up. It's important to have a good, efficient layout plan that facilitates you guys being able to execute and get the job done quickly and efficiently. And if we can print, pack, and ship quickly and efficiently, we can make more money. We can generate more profit for the business. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Jim Rohrer. Jim, I say that last name right?
You got it.
Jim Rohrer. Jim is our Jim, are you the director of training or manager of training?
I'm the manager of training.
You
could promote me anytime.
Yep, I would love to, Jim. Jim is the top dog to all things free jet training. So training and tech obviously work really closely together, hand in hand. All new customers go through a training process, and Jim is the leader. He is the man of that process that oversees it. And he has a deep knowledge and understanding of what printers go through, what print operators go through, but also the technical functions of printers as well. So Jim's going to be coming in and joining us at once every couple of weeks, probably. And he's going to be imparting his knowledge and wisdom onto us on how to make sure that we're doing the right things at the right time. This is Jim's first one here, so I would love for everybody to give Jim just a warm welcome in your own unique ways. You don't have to come off mute or any of that, but give him a good little wave or something. He can see you guys. And Jim, what are we talking about today? Aside from what I explained it, like how would you explain it? Did I kind of like lay out the red carpet properly for the topic, or would you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, no, you hit it pretty well. It's basically production efficiency, right? So the printing process, including I should say the DTG printing process, so including pre-treatment and curing ink and really the whole works. How to do that is really minimizing movement.
Yep.
And using all the tools that we've got that you can use to make yourself more productive, get more done in less time, and make more money.
Amazing.
That's the idea.
Amazing. And so this is going to be a hot topic, especially for you operators out there who have several different machines running. And I know a handful of you here do. So this is going to be applicable. Josh just showed us like 15 free jets in his office. It's something like that. He's got a bunch in there. So this is going to be a great topic. Anyways, Jim, it's the floor is yours, my man. Lead us through. I know Jim's going to have a couple of slides that he walks us through. So get out your notepads, get out your pens, and let's jump in.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. And thanks, everybody, for joining us today. So, yeah, when I'm talking about production efficiency, and part of it is about equipment, your heat press, your platens, how you're drying your stuff. It's equipment, it's also process, and we're going to get into some things that are sort of on the periphery, but still related to efficiency in your operation. So first thing I want to talk about is just the equipment. So a lot of you probably are running on a single heat press. If you have more heat presses, that opens up some doors to getting more done quickly. As you guys know, when you're curing your ink, that heat press is going to be tied up for probably 3 minutes if you're doing any kind of printing with an underbase, any kind of colors. So while you're curing that ink, you won't be drying any pre-treat. That can be a bottleneck, depending on your process. So if you're running with a single heat press, probably want to batch your pre-treatment, right? So, you pre-treat a bunch of shirts, get them dried, then you could do your printing and your ink curing as sort of a secondary step after you do your pre-treating, so batching them. Another thing you can do besides having an additional, obviously if you have an additional heat press, then there's no bottleneck. You can be drying pre-treat on one and curing ink on another and just sort of keep the flow going that way. Another way you can potentially do that is having a second platen. So while you're printing one shirt, you're getting a second shirt set up on the platen, ready to swap in. So the thing to keep in mind if you want to go that route is to always make sure if you're printing the same shirt over and over, and I mean by that the same model of shirt, and you know it's the same thickness, it's the same exact fabric. You know, you don't have to set the height every time you're running a print, and you can save a little time particularly if you're using the same platen. Then you can just run one print, throw another shirt on there, hit standby, and you're ready to go. You don't need to set the height between each print. Now, if you do use multiple platens, then you're going to want to either measure both platens when you start the session to make sure nothing has gotten out of alignment, make sure they're at exactly the same height. If they're not exactly the same height, then I definitely would recommend setting the height with each print if you're swapping platens in and out. And, function rear is pretty quick, so it's not going to really slow you down much. Now, another thing for efficiency would be to use a pre-treatment machine. How many of you guys, if you could chime in on the chat, I'm just wondering how many people are using pre-treatment machine versus handspraying with the Wagner?
Yeah, let's get this chat going. I know Josh is. I thought I saw a DTD in Josh's shop. Anybody else here? Kathy's got one. Victor, you running a directory to dual? Yes, no, maybe so. What do you say? Yep, the dual. All right. Yep. So we got a bunch of people in here. Christopher's using the Wagner.
So that's great. I know a lot of people hand spray. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Particularly when you're starting out, that's when it's, I would say, the biggest problem, where it's one of the biggest learning curves we find with new customers is to get down the hand spraying. Clearly, if you've got a pre-treatment machine, you might have a variety of shirts and fabrics that you're using. If you've got the machine, you can just have it wired and have the settings saved for each particular model that you're printing frequently, and you just got that dialed in and you just go. Where if you're hand spraying and you got to sort of make those adjustments, your muscle memory might be really good for going from one type of shirt to another. I don't think mine would be that good, so I like to use a machine. Those are some options there as far as the equipment goes. Now, another thing I want to talk about is just the layout. And so why don't we actually go to a slide now so we can see probably the most common layout we see is with a single heat press. So you're going to have pre-treatment machine or your hand spray, whatever. And then you're going to go to the heat press to dry that pre-treatment, and then you're going to print, and then you're going to go back to the heat press to cure the ink. So that's fine. That's very common. What you can do though is also, if you add another heat press, then you get a little more efficiency. When you're placing this equipment, you want it to be efficient to move from the pre-treat to the heat press to the printer to the heat press, whether it's one heat press or two. But one thing to keep in mind is you do not want to get that heat press too close to the back of the printer, because we don't want that ink heating up. I think you guys know we're recommending you stay within a range of 60 to 80 degrees. And that heat press, is much hotter than that. If it's too close to that ink, you could be raising the ink of the temperature in the bottles, and that could be a big problem. So stay away from the heat press. Keep it away from the back of the printer. I'd say keep it at least 3 or 4 feet away. And the same thing with the pre-treatment, particularly if you've got an open chassis machine or if you're hand spraying, then you really want some significant distance between that pre-treatment and the printer. If you're openly spraying, you're going to have some aerosol around that area, and you don't want to really get that stuff on the printer at all. And the last thing you want is to get any of that anywhere near the print head. So keep these in mind. Keep these things in mind when you're setting up your layout. Another option for production, and this is another efficiency option, is to use a conveyor dryer. So this can really, if you're running multiple printers, this can be real key to being able to get the ink cured in a really efficient way. You're essentially, when you're using this kind of conveyor dryer, you're essentially just putting the shirt on the conveyor after it's been printed, and you basically forget it. Obviously, you want to pick it up at the other end of the conveyor when it comes out, but it's done. As opposed to waiting 3 minutes or 2 90-second cycles on the heat press. So this can be a pretty good way to improve your efficiency and your production time. And again, particularly if you've got multiple printers, that's going to be super helpful. Well, I want to talk now about some other things related to efficiency. And this isn't so much equipment and placement, but it's a couple of more items. One is related to preventative maintenance, and the other is just general preparation, right? As far as being ready for routine things that will come up and being prepared in a way that they won't take a lot of your time. One thing related to that is if you're doing a lot of production prints, you will see gradually a little bit of dropout over time. You do 10, 15 prints, the ink will start to drop out a little bit. And you basically, if you do a head clean every 15 prints or so, depending on how big your artwork is, how big you're printing, that can just help to keep the ink all primed, to keep the dampers full of ink, and to just keep that flowing so you don't have to worry about a possible dropout after 15 prints or so, and then having to stop, maybe redo a print or redo a color layer or something like that. Other more extended kind of routine maintenance to keep in mind, to keep your, basically, again, we're talking about production efficiency and just trying to keep things rolling. And that would be just every 6 months, just replace the dampers. They're relatively inexpensive, and when you're doing it on a schedule, you're sort of doing it during your downtime. Go ahead and replace those dampers, and then you're not having to do that in the middle of a production run when you find out that you've got a damper that's leaking. So 6 months is a pretty good time frame for that. In a similar way, you could schedule replacement of your pump. You don't have to do it that often, maybe once a year. Would be a good interval for replacing the pump. And then again, you're doing it on a schedule. You're not having any related downtime other than the exact time it takes to do it. So related to this then is also just this idea of being prepared for the routine stuff that is going to happen. You're not going to be able to run 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. There's some maintenance needed occasionally, and you've got to refresh supplies. So we just recommend keeping all your consumables on hand, in stock. Have some extra ink. Make sure you've got enough ink to get through any jobs you plan on doing anytime soon. Have extra ink on hand, extra super cleaner, super nozzle cleaner, everything you use for maintenance. Your alcohol, your swabs. Make sure you've got some of that on hand. And I would say the same really for these consumable parts. Like I mentioned, the dampers, the pump, all this stuff. You guys may know we have something called a support kit, and that's got the 8 dampers, clips, those short ink tubes that go between the main ink line and the damper, the soak pads for under the pump, and the spit tray. Let's see, what else? What haven't I mentioned? And the pump, if I didn't say that already. But basically, all these consumable parts all come in a kit, and I think you save around $100 over the price of buying those things individually. And it's all stuff you're going to need to replace eventually. So if you've got it on hand, whenever one of those things needs to be replaced, whether you schedule it or whether you run it until you need to do that maintenance, at least you've got the parts there, right? You're ready to go when you find out you've got a damper leaking or the pump is just finished its service life. You've got it right there. You're not calling us to order something, waiting for it to ship, losing maybe a day or two or three of production time while you're waiting for that to arrive. So you got it on hand, just slap it in and get back to printing. So I wonder if you guys could share, those are the basics I wanted to talk about in terms of, production efficiency and, being ready to keep printing. I would love to hear any other tips if you guys have something that you could share about what you're doing to keep your production level high and to keep printing. Any input from the group here?
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump it in. Guys, we're going to have the rest of this be more conversational between everybody here. So for those of you who have larger shops or operations set up, even if you're running a screen press and a DTG printer, like how are you guys set up? Like, what have you learned through your time operating about how to what the most effective way is for literally setting up your shop so that either you or your team can go and execute? And then just raise your hand on here, like the little raise hand deal at the bottom, so I can see you. I want to bring you guys in. Josh, I want to hear from you. Victor, definitely want to hear from you, and anybody else, Kathy, whomever that I know has some solid operations. Like, what are you guys doing? Who's willing to share some info with us?
Fine, I'll go first.
Thank you, Victor.
I spend a lot of time doing upfront organization with stuff. So I mean, you discussed printing and pre-treating and all this stuff, but the one thing that slows you down is if you don't know what you have in stock. And so I use Excel. I use a couple of advanced features like a lookup and some counters and stuff like that. But I actually have everything scanned in my shop, everything barcoded in my shop in terms of size, and every time, and I have an inventory for each of those items. So extra small to triple X, whatever it may be. And I have another tab that every time I pull 50, 100, 200 orders, whatever, and I start lining up the order with the shirt, then I just take the 2 or 3 minutes that it takes, and my orders come with a barcode. So I scan the barcode and the Excel records that, and I scan the barcode on the shirt and it records that. And my spreadsheet is subtracting or it's decrementing every single time I scan a shirt. And therefore I always know what I have on hand at any given time. And when I do inventory counts, it makes it easy because then I just scan, and then I count that, and that's my number. The nice thing about it is that it also adds as a little QC check later on. Like if you send something to a customer and they're like, "Hey, you sent me a large," and you can always go back to that order number. You can go back to see what it is you actually scan, and as long as everything is scanned properly, you at least know if the customer's BSing or not. So it's not so much the printing process, because you've talked about that. It's like all the stuff before and all the stuff after, just to help you manage all the other crazy stuff that goes along with just trying to get that ink on that shirt.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Understanding blank inventory, especially if you're holding a bunch of different vendors or you've got a big inventory position with several thousand units in stock. Definitely, it's impossible to know if you're storing that stuff here. Mm-hmm. Being able to manage that inventory accordingly is fundamental to scaling. So that's huge feedback. Victor, are you using? Oh, go ahead, Jim. Sorry, please.
No, I was just going to say, when Victor was talking, it made me realize I didn't touch it all on work, and that's fine. I wanted to talk about the hardware and the equipment and parts and such, but I mean the work product, if you guys aren't using it, or maybe you've seen some of the creators live sessions on that, but that's another big opportunity for efficiency gains.
Yeah.
So one other thing that I do is I drop ship for a lot of different people. So now I'm talking about hundreds and hundreds of art files from these customers, and I don't want to have to read what it is and try to find it in my folders. Every customer has a 4-digit art code. And they put that art code in my SKU, in the SKU. So when the SKU comes back with the customer's code of XYZ123, there's a dash 1428. And then I know that that's our code 1428, and I just go through the RIP, pull up art 1428, print it, and then it's done. So anything you can do to reduce the organization, like if you spend a lot of time having to organize before you print, I feel like that's a lot of wasted time. That stuff should be already able to process itself. So someone else should be able to walk in and say, okay, I know these shirts because they're barcoded. I know this art because it has this code. And I actually I charge by square inch of the art. There's also another little code. It's like F3 or E3 or whatever. And that's how much I charge for that art. And that's also part of the SKU. So that at the end, when I do my billing, all that stuff is just based on the SKU, and it just kind of runs through a spreadsheet and it's done. So I like my free time. So I spend a lot of time up front organizing that so that I can have a lot of time, free time on the back end, not having to recreate what I did.
That's great. And that sounds like that really gives you a great opportunity also to talk about the cost basis to your customers. When you're charging by the square inch of print like that, it's a pretty clear straight line that you can explain, why one shirt costs one price and another print, another design is going to be potentially another cost.
12 by 12 print is one price. If you wanted a 13 by 12 design, that's the next price. And unless you want to go lower, and they say, well, why can't you just do it? Well, the upside is that there's no setup fees, there's no minimums, there's all these other things. So if you want to, do that, you can, but then, all this other stuff that we have to do just to get your print ready to go, it doesn't account for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Victor. That was awesome insight, per usual. So I appreciate your input there. Kathy, what are your thoughts? I know you're jumping in here. What is your experience?
I have a spreadsheet. I keep track of my inventory as well, but not to the extent that Victor has, which is great. I mean, I just wrote down a couple of things that I need to do. But yeah, I stay on top of my inventory because you never know. Somebody wants something and I look and I go, shoot, I'm missing a size or a color or whatever. So I stay on top of that. Supplies, just placed a large order. So I got that. Trying not to order too much because expiration dates.
Yep.
But yeah, so my operation isn't as large as everybody else's. I'm getting there. But I want to, like Victor says, you got to lay down the groundwork ahead of time, the organization and stuff to be able to get up and run when those orders do come in. I was thinking about work when I first got my machine. That came as part of it, right? I never did try it because I figured, well, I'm just starting out. This looks like something for a business that's, just exploding, which I'm not there yet. But is this something that you can maybe do in one of these sessions to kind of explain it more to us?
For sure. We know what we did. We did do one actually on work. You might not have been here. We can definitely get you, Kathy, a link to that so you can check it out.
Yeah, I just got my machine in December, so it may have been before that because I don't know.
It was only like a month ago. Like Victor Pena jumped in and ran us through it. He kind of skipped across the top of the entire functionality of the product, but I'll send you the link.
Okay. Yeah, and I have a question for Victor. What barcode system are you using? If you don't mind me asking.
So, you mean like what I use to generate the barcodes?
Yeah.
So I'm on a Mac.
Yeah.
And I bought a program called Label Live.
Label Live?
Label Live.
Okay.
And then I bought 2 Zebra printers. And you can buy refurbished Zebra printers on Amazon for half the price. And if you're on a Mac, you can email me. It's not straightforward how you connect the Zebra printer to a Mac via network, but I found the white paper on it, and I can share that with you if you ever need it.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. One thing too to consider is depending on what plan you get with work, as you grow and scale, work's got its own barcode functionality too. That you can incorporate.
Sorry, I don't mean to throw off third-party software.
Oh, no, dude. I don't care at all. Whatever's valuable, man. I mean, we just want to help people. So, whatever's most valuable. Completely appreciate that, Victor. Mauricio posted a link in the chat for that, work experience or for that work Creators Live. So, anyways, yeah, we'll go ahead and get that. You guys can go ahead and take a look at that there. Joshua, why don't you go ahead and jump in here? I know you got a good operation set up over there. Mind sharing some knowledge with us?
Hey guys. Okay, so the big thing that we ran into after the setup of the shop is keeping people busy. That's kind of, we have a lot of orders coming through, but making sure people know what to do and how to do it, and the quotes coming in, quotes going out. So if we get a quote that comes, a request for a quote, we do the quote, and then we end up putting it in a folder so we know that quote's good to go. Then it moves to approved quotes. Then it moves to another box that's waiting for supplies. So if we're waiting on hats or t-shirts or whatever we're waiting for, so that's coming. And then we have a system where it's like kind of like a little rail system where it has the quote hanging up, the whole job, the specs, everything we need for it. And then they can pick from that order by the date that it got brought in, so we can keep everybody in line as well. Because we ran into, okay, we can hurry up and knock out these 5 hats, but then we have somebody else that's been there for a couple of days waiting on the product. So we kind of ran into some issues with that a little bit. So we're kind of getting that all hashed out. But that's kind of the bottleneck now, and we're starting to figure out better and easier ways to go about it. But too many jobs and not enough direction sometimes is what we kind of started running into. But that's certainly get hashed out pretty good now. So that's kind of where we're sitting at with the shop right now.
Nice. Hey, Josh, are you using a conveyor dryer? First off, how many units are you running over there?
I don't have a conveyor dryer. I actually have, so I got 2 3 jets.
I can't. Are your hands on your speakers? Are your hands on your speakers on the bottom of your phone?
Okay, so we have 2 3 jets, and then we actually have a Brothers GTX Pro. That's for a lot of the fast jobs. That's for stuff that not as much detail.
Yep.
As far as quality goes, jet, you cannot get past it. I mean, anything that you want to really stand out is great. That's the way to go. We run 2 heat presses, and we're actually looking at getting. It's a stacked system, so it's a system from Italy where you can actually put your t-shirts in it and lay them in. So there's like 3 different drawers where it like heat bakes it. So instead of using the heat press and instead of a conveyor belt dryer, like we got a really small shop. I mean, we're packed. We got everything, just kind of the best way that we can possibly do it. So in the space that we're working at, that's kind of what we're thinking about doing. On some of the t-shirts, it just won't work, like white. I mean, white t-shirts, we do a 20-second press on those and they're dry, they're good. They won't wash out, no white ink. That's kind of how we're doing that issue right now. But we got 2 heat presses. I actually got 3 of them and then a couple of heat presses and stuff too. But yeah, we're still running off heat press.
Very nice.
So you're running 2 heat presses typically all the time, or I think you mentioned a third one.
Yeah. So we got one pre-treat machine here. We got the other pre-treat here. We got heat press, and then we got this heat press here. So we go bam, bam, printer, and then back. And then I'll have a guy that's sitting here pre-treating t-shirts and then drying them while we're printing as well. So this guy here, it'll go pre-treat, heat press, printer. But then we'll utilize, I got another heat press that we pop out if we're kind of getting on top of each other. So it's a total of 3 heat presses.
Nice. Yeah, 3 heat presses. At some point there, Josh, Aeolus doesn't actually promote this. You can't, and it's really, really hard to find, but they have a 24-inch conveyor dryer, and it's super affordable too. And that might actually save you a grip of time
Yeah.
in that process, and they're affordable. So if you ever need one of those, let me know. We just filmed a ton of content on those. They got a 24
Okay, cool.
inch.
I seen that. I seen some pre videos coming, and I was kind of wondering when that's gonna come out. Because I mean, like, we do hundreds of pieces. This is just lined up for tomorrow morning. That's what will be 122. That's lined up for tomorrow morning, and then we got black shoots after that.
Yep.
So we definitely we need a conveyor belt.
Yeah, I'm gonna be releasing those. I think we're editing those videos down right now, and they're really cool informational videos, and all of you will be able to check them out. But we're gonna have the 24-inch conveyor, the 36-inch, and the 54-inch for people, depending on where you're at on the spectrum volume. These things can cure like several hundred shirts per hour, but the 24-inch is perfect for anybody that's running just a single free jet. But if you're running 2 to call it 3 or 4 free jets, the 36-inch would be perfect. Anything 4 free jets and above, the 54-inch is like awesome, and it saves a ton of time and makes people's lives easier. That's why we haven't traditionally sold them, just because they're hard to get, especially in today's economy with the whole COVID deal, locking down ports and whatnot. But we've been able to get our hands on them. So, those videos will come out probably next week or the week after, and I'll let y'all know when those come out so you can take a look at them. But they're really neat. Who else has got anything to share? Anybody else doing anything really cool that makes their life super easy and efficient when it comes to printing or packing or shipping, for that matter?
And Ryan, another thing, if we could also maybe get any feedback on other topics that people would like us to be covering, in the weeks ahead. That's always helpful to know, what you guys want, and we want to bring you the information that's going to be useful to you. And so if we can get that direct from you, and we'll know we're on the right track.
And definitely. How many weeks have we had of these things by this point? I guess it's about 36 weeks. Not 36 weeks. No, Ryan. It's been not 36 weeks. It's been 16 maybe, Mauricio? You fact check me on that? 19 or 20, he says. All right. And so what we're thinking about doing is we're going to continue to unpack a lot of these different types of topics around, obviously, the technical nature of the free jet, the Plus, and just the TX, helping you guys understand what each of those different components do, how to swap them out. But there's really only so many of those that we can do, right? Because once if we took 52 weeks out of the year to focus on this very specific technical nature of the free jet unit, we would be repeating a ton of different topics. So if you have any ideas, figure out settings. Michael says settings. What else? Deep dive into the RIP software with the focus on color control. I like that. Thank you, Anna. If anybody else here has some additional topics that they want to hear on, please post them in the chat so that we can get some feedback there. I think we're going to also talk about additional topics too. Like we're going to do more regarding the direct treater dual, which is awesome. We have some cool products coming out soon that I think you guys are going to really like. And so I want to make sure we'll do some deep dives into that stuff as well. And a quick question I had for everybody here: is anybody here doing trade shows this year? We will be at Printing United this year. If y'all want to come through, we're gonna have a big experience there, and we're gonna have some. That's gonna be. It's in October, middle of October, or end of October, I guess. It's gonna be awesome. All right, so virtual trade show this year, Jim. I'm about that. By the way, I don't know if anybody's really noticed this, but our Creators Business Bootcamp that spawned last year. The first one we ever did was I think it was April or May last year, and that spawned because obviously everything locked down, the markets were completely shut down, but people still wanted to connect, right? So Creators Business Bootcamp was derived out of this idea that everybody was stuck at home, and couldn't do anything, and so that's a little fun fact on why those exist. Let's see. I'm going to see if we can get a couple of questions in here. Everett says, can I get more info on the 24-inch conveyor jar? Everett, I'd love to get you more information. Can you email me? My email is Ryan, RYAN, at OmniPrintOnline.com, and I will forward you all of the information that you need on that. Guys, if anybody here who's interested in a conveyor jar, the Aeolus is like the top dog, in my humble professional opinion, on that in that field. So if any of you want information on that, like whether you're operating a single free jet, again, we've got the 24-inch ALS that'll help you, or if you're operating 2, 3, 4 plus, we've got options there for you. And if you do any sort of research at all on the AOLIS conveyor dryers, you're going to see that those things are absolutely freaking awesome. Jim Cornelius, can you email me? Mauricio put my little email there in the chat, dealy, and I'll get you guys information on those units. And in the meantime, before you email me and I respond to you, also Google them. They're really cool. And you're primarily going to see the 36-inch and the 54-inch out in the market, because very few people can even get their hands on the 24-inch, and we've got them. Jim, good question. I'm going to try not to butcher this, but I think it's something like that in terms of spelling. AEOLUS. AOLIS. And they're really cool. Okay. Jim, anything else you want to touch on here before we...
Yeah, I actually also wanted to take the opportunity to mention that we're also along Creators Live, we want to offer custom training for you guys in like a longer format. And this would not be on Creators Live. This would be something we would do as just private trainings, one-on-one trainings, and any topics that would take more than the time we have available here, but that could be developed and provided on a more of a one-on-one basis. You could email me with those things that you're interested in, and that would be just Jim, JIM, at OmniPrint Online. I'd love to hear what kind of things you guys would like to see in more sort of extended format one-on-one trainings. Like to find out what you need and make it available for you.
Yep. And so that's actually a big piece of all of this. If you guys do need trainings for you or your staff, we're rolling out services that are local to Southern California. If you need us to come out and train you, or if you guys want to come to our shop, you guys can schedule time to come into the OmniPrint headquarters and spend a full day with the training team, Jim or somebody on his team, so that you guys can get the training you need and all that good stuff. So, all right, folks, we're going to have a shorter session today. This is all really good information, Jim. Thank you for delivering this. We want to make you guys as efficient as you possibly can be in your shops, and we want to make sure that you guys have the information and knowledge to take your shops to the next level. But you know what? I'm actually kind of selfishly curious. For those of you who were here last week, what we talked about? We talked about utilizing Facebook ads to drive leads for your print shop, right? I told you I was going to hold you accountable to it. How many of you here actually went home and did that or tried? Kathy did. Kathy, what was your experience? What happened? Did you do it exactly how you saw it?
No, that may not have done that.
It's okay.
Yeah, and I don't have that code either to put in there. I don't know if that really. I mean, I'm sure it matters, but.
No, so if Mauricio, I don't know if that video is done yet or not. If it's done, can you post a link to it here? It might not be done yet because sometimes it'll take a minute to get post-produced, but you actually don't need to embed any, you don't need to put on, in order to do that, it's the lead campaign is done within Facebook, and you don't have to send anybody off of Facebook in order to execute that campaign.
Okay.
It's all done right within the Facebook ad platform, and you don't need to send anybody off platform in order to utilize and start generating leads for that. But Kathy, we're going to get you the video so that you can watch that. And I went through and showed you the construction of it, how to create the lead form and all of that stuff. And I just want you to copy and paste all of that.
Okay.
All of that tactic, all of that, what we went over there, and let me know how that works for you.
Okay. Thanks.
Michelle, why turn that frown upside down in the chat, as they say, okay? No sad faces. Let's just go out there and do that. Josh, you want to jump in here? Did you do it?
Yeah, so I ended up doing a 3-day campaign, which was 100 white t-shirts, as many colors as you want. So 100 t-shirts, as many colors as you want on it, full image, $8 a piece. Ended up doing 2 of those got 2 orders within 24 hours, and upsold on inverted to left chest on about 13 or 14 polos from the one guy. So with
From the
that ad
Facebook
there, I
ad?
think I spent $50 for 3 days, and within 24 hours made a little over 2,000 off of it. Because we upsold them on the instead of short sleeves, one guy wanted long sleeve, so we did the long sleeve on those, and then kind of upsold the price on those a little bit too. So, and then just the interaction is pretty good on that. Anytime we do something like that, we end up getting different people following us and people tagging other businesses around here. So definitely helped out.
Josh, did you go through? That's insane. For one, like you can't make this stuff up, guys. Josh, did you do exactly how we talked about on that session?
So I did for the most part. I went and downloaded the app and everything, and just kind of did it a little bit different than how I usually do it.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big deal. Just kind of and then we did some video ads on like 2 days ago. We didn't actually do too much for those, but that first one went really good.
It works, people. Like it works, people, and all you got to do is go do it.
Yep.
I don't know of another way to. How much did you said you spent $50 or you spent $50 per day?
Nope, $50 total.
Yeah.
Did $2,000 in revenue.
Yeah.
So I don't know what else you need to hear in order than that, right? That's the set. And Jeremy, again, he spent $800 or $920 and he did $10,000 in revenue.
Yeah, insane.
Like it works, right? Josh, can you do me a favor, man? Like, when we get off this call, can you do a little video being like, you know what, the Facebook ad session was amazing. Spent $50, did $2,000 on it, and it helped me a ton. I'm gonna send that out to everybody here every single day until they believe that they can do it for themselves. Because
we can definitely come up with something. I can make a little video. Absolutely.
That would be amazing, man. Just email it to me. You guys it only works if you believe in yourselves though, people. Right? Because Josh isn't going to go build your campaign for you. You need to go build your campaign for you. And you need to be confident that the stuff that you're getting from these sessions here are going to work because they're rooted in history. They are tried and true. They're not just made up on the spot, right? Nobody's that lucky. It takes 10 years to become an overnight success, as they say. So it's only going to happen if you believe that you can do it. And you have everything you need to do it. You have everything you need. You've got the printer, you got the shop, you've got the vision, you've got the how-to. And so I just want to encourage you to just go try it. Just go try it, and then be one of the testimonials on next week when I ask you guys if you've done it. Again, I'm going to ask next week. I promise you, I'm going to ask next week, and I'm hoping at least two or three of you. You're like, you know what, I did it, and it worked, or it did. And if it didn't work, we can work through that. That's okay. That's okay. All right, that's the end of my rant. Thank you for that, Josh. That was amazing. $50 and generated $2,000 in revenue. Just doesn't get any better than that, folks. So. I hope you all, actually, Jim, any last words before we depart?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day and rest of your week. If you need me for anything, you can email me, ryan@omniprintonline.com. Like, don't come at me with technical stuff, though. Like, how do I fix my pump? Like, I don't know. I don't know. That's stuff that you would email Jim for, or Seraphine, or Edsel. Yeah, email Edsel. He would love that. Just email him and bug him about it. But if you need anything at all, joking aside, if I don't know the answer, the Edsel, I see you. If I don't know the answer, I will definitely forward you to Edsel so that he can help you. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. Have a very happy and safe 4th of July, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Talk soon.